If you have been thinking about adding some of the weight loss medications that everyone is talking about, semaglutide, tirzepatide, to your own routine to help you lose some weight, this video is for you. So semaglutide and tirzepatide, they are medications that were originally created to help in patients with diabetes, but in 2021 were actually approved by the FDA for weight loss. It was actually shown that the diabetic patients initially were losing significant weight, and therefore further research was carried on to see if they could help patients not with diabetes but with obesity lose some weight. And the results were pretty amazing. Therefore, the FDA approved it for this use even for patients with no diabetes. How do these drugs work? So they are agonists, meaning that they mimic the function of a substance or a receptor in our body. So the receptor here is the GLP-1 receptor, which when stimulated induces the production of insulin and helps us with processing and absorbing the food when we eat. Now, it was noted that actually that activation of the GLP receptors in the brain actually helps with helping you feel fuller, like helping you feel full and satisfied and not have to eat as much as you would normally eat. Therefore, if you eat less, obviously your caloric intake is going to go down and naturally it's going to help you lose weight. So the benefits of these medications are incredible and they absolutely go beyond the weight loss and helping lower A1C, which is a number that we watch closely on patients who are diabetic to see how well their sugar is controlled over time. But they are very promising as far as showing decrease in hypertension, in high blood pressure, helping lower cholesterol levels, and even there's studies ongoing that are showing promising benefits from a cardiovascular standpoint, and even in patients potentially with renal dysfunction, as it has anti-inflammatory benefits in general over the body. And of course, losing weight is always naturally going to help with diabetes, with high blood pressure, with cholesterol, regardless of how you're doing. So naturally, this is to be expected as a benefit from taking or using these medications. So these kinds of medications obviously sound like they're literally like miracle workers in our body, but it is not that simple, and it is very important to understand how they work and actually the side effects or the negative effects that they may have, so that as we're using them and we're incorporating them into your weight loss journey, you get the best results. Let's talk about the things no one is telling you about weight loss medications like Ozempic, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Obviously, there are beautiful drugs that help us lose weight in a very efficient way, aside from the benefits from the diabetes standpoint, helping control our sugar levels, helping us from a cardiovascular standpoint, decreasing blood pressure, helping with the lipid profile for those who have an elevated cholesterol. But what people don't necessarily tell you about is that unfortunately there are side effects and things that we need to consider prior to getting you started on this kind of treatment. First of all, most people are candidates. You don't necessarily need to be obese to get the benefit from these kinds of medications. Even if you're only a few pounds away from your goal, you can still benefit from it. But there are some patients in whom the medication is contraindicated. So patients who have a family or a personal history of certain types of thyroid cancer should avoid using this medication. Now, side effects are actually pretty mild, thankfully, when you put it in comparison with like the potential benefits that you can get. And so some people may experience mostly gastrointestinal symptoms. So what I mean by that is nausea, diarrhea, maybe vomiting, just upset stomach, and obviously a decrease in the appetite. So those side effects are usually very mild, and most people usually can get over them if they're not too severe. And if you experience those symptoms, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot take the medication. We may just have to figure out if you're going to be able to tolerate tolerate them, if you get over them and we can continue, or if we have to stop if they're intolerable for you. But again, just to recap, most people just tolerate the medication very well. A few will have these minor GI side effects and we'll figure out if you can get over them. But there are definitely some patients that cannot and should not be on these medications. So that's why it's very important to come in for a medical evaluation consultation. We'll check some labs to make sure that it is safe to use these medications in your weight loss journey.